days was the 3 3/4 inch Star Wars, the Power of the Force 2 stuff, and I was mint on card collector.
Oh.
I didn't even mess with the toys or anything until I found the customizing forums.
You went from mint on card to currently
open everything.
Open everything to the extent where you're traveling. I'm going to open everything to get it in the suitcase, and I will throw my clothes away if I have to. That is about as far as possible from mint on card.
Yeah. Because it was even, this one's creased a little bit. And then back in the day of the 01s and the 02s and the 00s and
which factory it came from,
yeah,
and all that
long
stuff.
saber, short saber. I was into that, the cross guides and everything. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I got to the point where it was like, I want to play with these things, especially after getting into customizing. And the more parts that came out, the more pieces, that became more fun.
So it's probably, when's the first time you can remember going, I need a piece, and I don't have to just find it on a Spawn figure or my Star Wars figure. Oh, there's a way to get this alternative. That's really only in the last 7 or 8 years, unless
3D printing, digital sculpting, the amount of companies that are making figures now with different looks and styles and clothings and independents, major companies. It's getting to the point where you can just, I'm piecing together an armored Psylocke right now, and I've ordered like 16 figures to take Boba Fett's shoulder pad and put it here, and Ironheart's fist and put it here, and these legs, and to the point, because if you don't like a certain aspect, you can either find parts in that color or already sculpted. Because I don't care for sculpting. I'm never good at it. I can't create from scratch. But between 3D printing, so it's only been 2000. Well, I can't even pick a year.
Did you go right away? As soon as products started being available at a reasonable price, did you just move right into, all right, I'm going to buy 3D printed stuff?
Yeah. As soon as I started seeing that on the internet, before it was like you just buy the file and print it yourself, because you can just be at home now and 3D print, which I'm not into yet. I have some 3D printers, but I failed miserably at doing that. I messed it up the first day, and then just after that was an avalanche of disaster. But so if it's available online, I'll order a piece.
That wasn't is that in the archives? Is there a video of that you were going to make?
It's me talking about when I reviewed the printer. I was like, don't take a paper towel. Just
oh yes, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
That'll mess up a print screen. But I'm gonna eventually get back into it, because I guess they get better and better every hour. I'm already seeing these different models and stuff, so I may get back into it.
I think that's one of the interesting things, in the Curtis is here with us in the early days of Legion's customizing. There was just kind of a couple 3D print shops, just because like every other technology, a 3D printer was, who knows, several $1,000, and not a thing that's an easy to set up investment. Like, you have to know what you're doing. And now, we have a micro center here, and that micro center all the time is running like $29, and it's it's not the greatest printer, but it will do something.
Yeah.
And even the high-end stuff, I think, maybe not the high-end, but things that will very much print what you need, it's a couple $100. And then you can buy the file for pretty cheap and print as much as you want of a thing. So you don't even necessarily have to use 3D print houses. But I am certainly a supporter and a fan of supporting, especially if it's a person that is sculpting or is involved in sculpting themselves. You want to support the art and the artist. I think that's important. But there's an element, because I've got so many friends with 3D print, and you do it yourself, and you're like, well, why does this suck? What did I do? And you realize, oh, there's all these things, and they're doing something with a lighter, and they're filing certain things, like elements of, it's like, oh, I thought I just pressed a button and it'd be done. That's not the case.
Supports, where to put the supports, where they won't be in the way, cleaning them off. There's a lot involved.
Our friend Greg Cook is here, and he, so I had my head sculpted at Legion's Con last year. He prints them, and every time he does, he prints 30. I'm like, all right, thank you. He's like, listen, it basically costs me the same and takes the same amount of time to do 1 and 30. I'm like, all right, then that's fine. It's interesting. Like, that would not happen if I did it myself. I'd find a way.
Yeah.
It would look like you.
And have one. Yeah. It's like, oh wait.
So, in that mindset, right? So I think it's made customizing, or you know, I think it's customizing. If you are, even if you're just taking a head and putting on something else, you are customizing a figure, and I think that's important. There doesn't have to be some sort of, you know, the term we use in Hollywood is gatekeeping stuff. I think it's a little bit too extreme a word, but you don't have to say somebody's not customizing because they did a parts swap. It still is. You're turning a thing into a thing that you want. That is not the way it originally came, and I think that's cool. But it's made it approachable for people. But for someone like you that was already doing it, that was already harvesting things and painting things, has it changed the way you approach? Like, okay, I'm going to complete this team. It doesn't feel like fill in the blank company's going to do it anytime soon.
Right.
Are you more aggressive with some of that stuff because you don't necessarily have to wait for certain things anymore?
Oh, definitely. I have the whole 80s Marauders team because I found the heads on eBay. Like in progress. I didn't have any plans for the bodies, no plans whatsoever, but I saw the heads on eBay and I thought, oh. So now I have all those laying out in various stages of here's one with body, here's one with a little added stuff, here's one that's painted.
I bet your eBay search history is an interesting
There's lots of heads in my save. And Etsy's the devil.
Yeah, I know because one of the things I appreciate you're very diligent to cite and post
The
links
original,
where you got it from, who the artists are, all of that. And I think that's very, you know, we're very much, both of us, very believers in artists. These are artists,
giving
credit. But you do, I mean, often I don't think about Etsy because Etsy, I've been using Etsy a long time before there was 3D printing, and Etsy was a place where you got art, like traditional art, right? Art you're putting on a wall. So my mind never even goes there. And then we collect Amiibo, which are the little Nintendo little baby statues that have the base. And one time I went on Etsy, I was like, I don't have a good way to display this. And like somebody has made this. Here's for all 196 Amiibo you have, here's this wood etched thing that mounts on the wall and has perfect bases for all of them. I'm like, oh, purchase. It's immediate purchase. That didn't exist at all. Like there was not a way. So I don't even like for parts and pieces. I don't even think about that.
And it's opened up the whole because again back in the day you had to either wait or sculpt, and if you couldn't sculpt, you waited.
Yeah.
And it may have been years before a part or that figure got made. But it's just made it so much easier for everybody to jump in. It's more of a putting a puzzle together and then painting a lot of the time.
Yeah, for all of us here, you know, I think an interesting thing at Joelanta this year is you have our friends from the Purple Paint group right out there, and they have various 3D printed parts that you can purchase. You can sit down with them, courtesy they'll help you paint. There's paint supplies, there's paint brushes you can purchase, there's stuff you can use, and then you can just walk 20 feet away, and Ish has a whole bunch of figures broken apart. And so you get a foot and an arm and a this and a this, and you could truly spend like 2 hours here and completely create your own thing that no one else has in the world, right here. And that's, if you think about what that experience would have had to been 5 years ago, you'd probably pay $1,000 to have something like that, and you'd get it 6 months later.
Yeah.
Right. And now you can literally do it just here, and all of those people we're talking about are everyday, or friends, everyday people. It's not somebody that's running a corporation or anything like that. It's very accessible. I'd encourage folks. I've already done it. It's fun. Like it's. And if you go to Legion's Con in a couple months, Four Horsemen Studios themselves sets that similar experience up, which
is crazy.
it's crazy. And where they have all these different arms and heads and torsos, and you can build your own character. And Robo and I did that last year together. We were some of the first people through. And Robo was paralyzed.
I was. It was just totally locked up, looking at everything. Or changing my mind as I saw different things down the line. And I had even done the digital mashup beforehand.
Yeah, our friend Kirby makes an app where you can customize it up, which is also incredible about this community. They just whip that thing out.
And I've done it for the new one.
Yeah.
Already. And I took a screenshot this time.
I don't know how. So last year the permutations had to have been in the thousands. It's got to be hundreds of thousands this year because there's something like 40 different legs or something like that. It's a crazy number.
Yeah. I'm going to go in and prepare this time.
But so like in that setting, right? You're in a place like that. It's a unique and new thing. Are you going, all right, I'm creating a character from scratch? Or in that case, are you going, I am getting things I need? Like what was that paralysis that time? Was it, oh, this can help me with something else?
Well, that goes back to the whole build something from scratch thing. Imagining something, coming up with something out of my head. It kept just mutating as I went down. Because I want this. Nope. Gotta back up because now I want this. And it just back and forth. I eventually got it.
Yeah. Yeah, the room had cleared out.
Mostly
it was
because
just us.
Group was coming in.
And Joe Vasapolo looking at us like, hey guys, there's another group. We
Yeah.
gotta go.
Leave me alone. I'm just trying to figure this out. Don't talk.
So I think the evolution of that, right, is...
But what other company does that?
I don't know that anybody does. Yeah.
Just throws their parts out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we'll probably see more of that, but I'm not familiar with another doing like that, where it is an experience, And I know they said in the marketing lead up last year, I think they were inspired by the things at Disney World where you can build a fill in the blank thing, but that is not these are $45 to do this, and that's very expensive, the lightsaber and some of that stuff. But even that, it's super limited what you can actually do compared to this, where it's so many permutations. But so I think, you got the avenue where that happened. That's all truly probably in the last decade especially, but really in the last 5 years. And what I think that has led to now is folks that are very talented at that. They can sculpt, they can print, they can paint, whatever it is. And it's led to people deciding to make their own action figure line. People that we know that are not a company, a studio, whatever. It's like my friend Wade, who I heard him on the Legion's Ladies the other day, and he said, it's a little different when it's just me in the garage, but he has a action figure that's factory produced, that was sold in professional packaging and is out there, and I think is the evolution of this, what we're talking about, because the everyday person can do that. So I think now shifting over to like the side of you that has spent a large portion of your hobby and YouTube world covering news, so to speak. What has that been like? Because how many years in a row now have you been, in essence, doing a version of the Rewind, the weekly before it? It's been a long time, right?
It's been 8 years. Yeah, and then covering 4 websites
Before that.
So
you've been paying attention and updating on things like such and such has just revealed a new action figure line for a long time.
Yeah.
15 years probably, whatever. So what's that been like as a person that is paying attention, is trying to provide input to that, to see, oh my goodness, here's this now.
Yeah. There's no way to cover everything anymore. You cannot cover every line from every company anymore. There's no way to keep track of it unless you're just 24/7.
Yeah.
And I can't do it 24/7. I got grandkids, have renovations, have other things going on. So to see people, going back to the Four Horsemen again, they started, Kickstarter, and I guess you could have called them an independent company when they first broke off and started doing their own thing. But now they're a toy company.
Yes.
And we've seen that with several different people now that are just toy companies now.
Yes.
In their own right. So to see people, like customizers I've talked to for 20 years now, toy companies and producing things. There's still a lot on the backside that is complicated and all that, but to see people actually go out there and do it for themselves is awesome. But there's also a lot of it. There is a lot of it, which is awesome. There's audiences for everything, but it's hard to keep track of.
I think it's just economically, at least in the United States, because I don't know how much of these platforms are available globally, but the same thing has happened clearly must be happening at the factory level, where you can get factory access if you're a single person, as long as you know the right people. I know David Bonner's somewhere here and helps, but Ace, there's people that are very active in the community that are going to be at these shows that you can get to know. You don't have to be on YouTube or anything. You can just be a regular person that'll talk to you, and you can get an opportunity to get in there. But then with platforms like Kickstarter that allow for, you can raise capital. You don't have to try to get a small business loan or alternate investments. You can raise the money and entirely take your idea and get it all the way through. That also didn't exist.
No.
But the other side of that is you get endless right now products being made.
It was like Wade was talking the other day of, and I've heard other people talk about it too, of wanting to do another Kickstarter, but having to schedule around everybody else's Kickstarters at the same time. Because I don't think anybody wants to step on anybody's toes. It's
No.
just, and plus it benefits them by not, competition and everything. But it's easier to do, but complicated. you know?
I don't mean to minimize the
No,
level of effort at all.
Yeah.
It's just you don't have to already be a corporation.
No.
Or already
Yeah,
have,
if you have an idea.
$250,000 in seed money or anything like
Right.
that.
If you have an idea and some scope, will to do it. There's a way these days.
And we've seen both, right? You have a person like Wade who is popular and has a presence on social media and on the internet, and so he's all right. And so also we'll have an engaged fan base, but there's also been people that have been successful that's not true at all.
Out of the blue.
No one knows who they are.
Yeah.
And they put a product up and it successfully, goes through. I mean, it was what are we at 25? So 23. There was like 6 months where there were so many action figure Kickstarters.
Well, yeah, everybody being at home for several years
Yes.
before that, just cooking up ideas,
Yes.
and coming up with sculpts and working together and networking, and that seemed like the culmination of all that work. Suddenly, just
I think we're probably a few months away, but maybe like when we get into spring convention season next year, I think we'll finally be at the place where most of those companies have their stuff, and it's at booths. And all these booths like if you go to the kind of the toy show circuit, you see a lot of these people, but they don't have anything to sell you. They've got prototypes, they've got maybe some shirts, and whatever. I know we're talking to our friends at Brutal Realm. They're like, right now we're just a t-shirt.
yeah.
But all of that's going to show up from all these different lines, and you're going to go to a toy show like this, and it's just now a bunch of toy companies that are selling their product, and it's not just vendor booths that have vintage toys or Marvel Legends or whatever the case may be. It's its a brand new subset of this hobby that just emerges all of a sudden.
Well, PowerCon 23. Well,
Oh,
going
yeah.
back to 23. PowerCon 23. Most of that floor was. I mean, there was a lot of vendors, but you couldn't go down an aisle without hitting a company with prototypes or a Kickstarter or selling. And it was mind-blowing how many people were doing it.
And I would encourage, everybody here and anybody that watches this or anything else, if you haven't dove into this, you should. Like, just buy one of somebody. There's military lines, there's sci-fi lines, there's fantasy, there's everything. Animal lines, there's everything. Even here, there's a lot of that stuff. Because, I have friends that collect a lot of toys, and they're not interested at all in any of that. They're like, no, it's not Spider-Man. I like it because it's Spider-Man, and I try to tell them, you think that's what you like. You like it because you grew up playing with action figures. You didn't know what Duke was when you got Duke. It was also new, right? Optimus Prime was also new. It wasn't a thing that you had any pre-built relationship with. And I think there's so much fun to be had by experimenting and shooting, because one of the things you'll find is for a very similar price point to what you see in Walmart, you're getting a lot more toy because there's not licensing being paid, because they own it is their license. You buy it doesn't matter who makes it. You buy a Marvel product. A great deal of that money is going to the Disney Corporation.
Yeah.
It doesn't have anything to do with how it's being made. And that's fine. I mean, they own the rights. It's fine. There's no issue with that. But when you buy this,
I was saying, I think it's about half the price of the figure, percent of the figure right now.
Yeah. Licensing.
we're seeing it. I mean, I think we both like Mondo. We like the guys at Mondo with the stuff they're making looks incredible. But very clearly, they are in some licensing cost issues with the cost they're having to make their stuff. Because if you get to know those guys, that is not what they want to be charging for that stuff.
Loose Collector, he's got his Young Blood line. He has the Coffin Comics.
Yeah.
And those are licensed lines. And you can see the difference in price of those compared to his Crypt line, which he just has on his own.
Yeah.
And you can see, Liefeld needs his cuts, Platinum Studios, Executive Replicas, Coffin Comics, but then over here it's just him and a Sasquatch that big for $100 compared to some of the prices on this. So there's a definite difference when it comes to licensing.
Because I think you'll find if you play around with, we can name a bunch of different companies, but one that is here right now and is selling figures is Animal Warriors of the Kingdom. They're here, they have their figures, you can walk right over there and grab them. And for, I don't know what their price is on things, but a lot of them are $30 or less. You'll play with that figure and you'll feel like you got quite a bit for your money's worth. And the person you buy it from created. Like, you get to meet the person that made it, that came up with the concept that there's a comic book and there's art and all that. I think that's fascinating.
Yeah.
I think it's really good.
Yeah, coming up with their own. And going back to the customizing around too, even if you're not into those properties and you're into Spider-Man or whatever, or you can go to Operation Monster Force and get your Thunderbolt Boss. You can go to Brutal Realm and get your Blood Amok if you want to customize. Nobody stole that idea. I saw those furry boots. But you can take the parts and make what you want. And they're providing you with good base parts. If you're not into the property itself.
Yeah. So now if we switch to, you think about things you do on the channel, you look back at your past, your own past, you become nostalgic. You cover current news, but then the other thing you do is you get things in and you review them or showcase them, whatever the term is, depending on the video. And recently, the vast majority of what you've done in reviews are products like this. You've had a lot of the Operation Monster Force. You've done quite a few recently. You just recently put up the most recent Mythic Legions figures you had a video for. And, as a person that is reviewing and is, collaborating and doing these things, do you approach that any differently than, I bought this at Walmart and I've decided I'm going to make a review video of it versus, here's this company and I know fill in the blank person and I know the work that's went into it. Do you treat it any differently, showcase it any differently?
Well, the problem with that is, even if it's something like Hasbro, I've become friends
That's
with
true,
some of
with the guys.
Yeah, some of the guys that I talk to at the cons and such. But when it comes to toys, I know I get flack for not being negative enough sometimes, or not critical when it comes, because most of the time I just want to play with some toys. And when people are like, hey, I'm gonna send you some stuff, I'm like, okay, I get to test drive or play with this toy. But I try not to, not on a conscious level if I do. It's more like, oh yeah, Dave sent me this, or or Bill sent me this. It's more of, when it comes to reviews, I look at it as more just showing people what they're getting, more than this is terrible or this is, well, okay, maybe I do. This is great, but I will point out flaws and negatives and such. But I'd much rather focus on the positives, and I don't think that matters where I get it from.
Yeah, no,
because I did videos over some kind of ninjas that some company the Foosh made at some point. I did videos of those, and I had to be very conscious of, I don't want to be like, this is the greatest ninja ever. But it's still, this. It's more, that's why I started calling videos overviews a lot.
Yeah.
It's just, here's what you're getting. And if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. And I'll throw my views in. But no.
Just treat it all the same. Toy is a toy.
Toy's a toy.
Yeah, I know from when we're leading up to shows we're both going to be at, and we'll be messaging, and it'll be like 2 hours between the response. And then I'll be like, oh, you were filming Playdate. Like, sorry. Yeah. And I'm like, some of those videos seem like it might take you days for some of those videos.
Playdates.
It's like the entire day, that's what you're doing.
Yeah. Because especially if it's several videos, because it's like, here it is, and here it is in the package, and then it cuts to me holding it, and in between that, I had to rip those packages open, tear my finger open, slice
You
it
had the
apart.
Marvel Legends one recently, and I couldn't believe that you, because you just very rarely say anything other than what you enjoyed. And you're like, and here we go, and that was way too many Marvel Legends to open at one time.
And that wasn't until the end I was like, I regret this decision. Oh man, I should have done that.
And it was not a criticism of the item, it's just like, there's only so many tabs and things you want to cut and all of that.
Because I Actually, towards the end, my camera shut off because the memory card was full. And I was like, this should not happen for a review. Nobody, yeah, I don't need hour and a half videos. So, yeah, and YouTube doesn't like hour and a half videos.
I mean, for when you film the play day, are you just pressing play and then you're going through and figuring out what's usable in that? Because you...
Well, a lot of the play days I've already done the paint that you put together
Yeah.
and stuff like that. I mean, and I'd like to do more of the process, but my process is, I don't know if this is going to work. Let's try it. And nope, that didn't work. And then it's like, I filmed that whole thing. I had the camera in front of me and doing this. And
I guess you have done some, you've done some of that over the years.
But with the tubs, I just open a tub, go, film until I'm done. Or I get tired. You know, it tuckers me out to go through a tub of toys. But yeah, play days are tricky. I'd like to show more process, but definitely more process is hit and miss.
Well, so one of the things I keep telling you, especially at Legion's Con last year, I'm like, why are you not ever setting up or showing your custom work? Because you're a person that's been customizing for 30 years. And a lot of times you show the things you paint, and you're like, but I didn't paint the back. Like, I just paint the thing I'm going to see or whatever. But like, you show something that looks great, like is wonderful. And I can imagine what's on the other side that you've never shown anyway.
But I don't feel like they're display work. Like, here, come look at my customs. Because I go to shows and I see so much better work. And it's like, oh, that's crazy good. And because for years, at San Diego, there was like, hey, we're going to do a customizing showcase where we bring our customs and people come on and stuff. And I was like, nobody wants to see my stuff not in person. Because when I started customizing, we would like figures on a scanner and just scan it. Because we didn't have digital camera. You know, I didn't have a digital camera.
That is very much a...
You just
how
smash
long
it
you've
down
been
and just
customizing there.
And then
like the butt cheeks, but
yeah.
Yes.
And the only thing in focus is the stuff touching the glass, which was the noses and the crotches of the figure and the feet, you know. So, and then it would get fuzzy.
You need to show in a video. I found my old pictures of early customs from the scanner.
I don't know if I have pictures. They were on a
you
site.
print it, I guess, right? You scan it and print it out.
No, scan it and send the file to somebody to post because you didn't have web space.
Posted them. Oh yeah. Well,
there was also the email list.
You didn't have your GeoCities page.
No, not until later. My Wicked Force. Oh man, yeah, it was bad. But they used to be up on there was a Star Wars customizing site called the Forgotten Force Ultimate Resource Guide, and they would post pictures of it. But even then, before that site got pulled down, the pictures were only like this big.
Yeah.
Because you'd send the file, and it took all day to undial it just to send. So
that would be remarkable. Some old.
I'd have to.
Even for just you personally, you'd probably be funny to see what.
Oh man.
Compared now to what we can zoom in on.
Because
48 megapixels.
Back then, you had to sculpt if you wanted to change something.
So you were doing that. You were like hand sculpting everyone, and just maybe not happy with it, but you would do it.
Yeah, like hair sculpts to make General Dean for Star Wars and stuff they weren't making. But now all these companies are making so much stuff that sometimes you make a custom and then they announce it, and you think
that's what you do. You are the
No,
figure bringer is what it feels like.
What it comes down to is I make the shoe-ins that they're going to make anyway that I can't wait for, and so it just turns out that way. But
have you never thought about trying to sculpt in ZBrush? It's amazing.
I've seen it, but
so if you're fortunate enough to ever win the intern for a day, if you go to Legion's Con, you go to Four Horsemen Studios, one of the things you get to do is watch Eric Trottoy. They're the person that sculpts. I think has sculpted everything in the Mythic Legions. Sculpt right in front of you.
And it's not fair.
It's truly, like, I'm a person that appreciates when you see a talented person do the thing they're talented at, kind of regardless of what it is. Because you get to see someone activate an ability.
Yeah.
And so what happens in that setting is he just has a circle, and he just starts asking, what do y'all want to see? And people are spitballing ideas, and he's just conversating. And the next thing you know, you realize he has heard horns winter.
Skull.
Yeah, and he's turned it into, and next thing you know, it's on your screen in 30 minutes. And he's never stopped engaging with you, talking about what fast food you want. Oh, we have donuts coming. And you see that his brain can just turn this thing into something else. And I think a time or two, it's become a real item. Like, it gets inspired and becomes a real item. And that's like when I see, so you're like, oh, it's a computer program, maybe I can do it. And then you see someone that can do it, you're like, I can absolutely not do that.
No. It's intimidating. Somebody who just wants to jump into the field does not need to jump into that right off the bat. Yeah, because it's magic.
But there are, our friend Dirk is out here. There are sculptors that are also super talented, and I don't know that Dirk does this, but they also you can hire them to sculpt what you want. Like, I would like my dog, my cat, me. You can get yourself scanned here at the show. You can get your head scanned by Pete over there. You have several robo heads. That
Josh Brown came up with some sculpts. His team. I've come up with custom ideas, and there's a customizing buddy of mine that sculpts, and it's not even it's not his profession. He just does it on the side. But he's sculpted up these kits and printed them for me, and then suddenly somebody like Nanny from Marvel, an egg-shaped character that they probably will never make, and there's not any fodder out there unless you go hunting at Easter. And I tried. I bought so many Easter eggs, plastic Easter, looking for that perfect shape. And after talking to him for a day and then waiting for a week, boom, it's done. And all I got to do is plug arms and legs in it. And
So you just kept having Easter eggs and just being disappointed with yourself?
3-4 years. I need one with a flat bottom. No, this one's too big. This one's too small. I got to wait till next season. And cutting holes in those plastic shells is not easy. And it falls
You're just
out.
talking about the one that you just put a Snickers bar in, Easter eggs.
Yes. The halfies. You got to put a belt around the seam line of that to hide that. I bought 2 Modocs to steal the arms and legs, but those were too big for the small legs I had.
There has to be some days where if there was like a hidden camera in your workshop, that if like just not a person that would be coming to Joelanta would look at that, they'd be like, that person needs to be arrested. I don't know what is happening in there, but that can't be correct.
Yeah, there are heads in that refrigerator. No.
I could just see you trying to the little Easter egg. No, foiled again.
pull the SpongeBob off the next one and keep going. Yeah, I had a box full of Easter eggs, and the kids were like, "Are those Easter eggs?
Are they for me? They're for
No
Dad."
candy in there." Those are mine. Oh. But no, yeah.
So as a person that has lived directly, you're not like a lot of us have breaks. Where it's like, well, I did that and I used to do it and then I didn't do anything for 15 years and I came back to it. You've kind of stayed in the hobby as long as you've been in the hobby.
Yeah. We I don't know if you count childhood as hot. I collected toys when I was a kid. I played with toys when I was a kid. And my parents were very, very spoiled me a bit. And so I had toys up until junior high. So I guess high school and a couple of years after was my only time of not actually messing with anything with toys. But even then, I would watch, watching Star Wars, watching movies, that kind of stuff.
So if you got in a lifetime of uninterrupted paying attention to this hobby, what do you think is coming? So I know one of the disruption or the new points is here we're seeing all these, all the terms people use, third party, unlicensed, independent. Like I said, if a person's making toys, it's a toy company.
Your company.
You're getting into things that are like terms that are not always used the way they should be used. But you're also getting the same thing happening in China with entirely made in China that are then being brought into other countries that are unbelievable products. And it's just, here's just this werewolf.
Yeah.
And it's not even IP. It's not even IP necessary. It's just, here's a bear. We're bringing a bear. So we got that's happening, and they're coming in at price points that are probably quite hard for a lot of companies to compete in, but they're really good. So we have that, but that's kind of similar. What else is going to happen? What do you think? I know it's kind of speculative, but like, is there a thing that you've gone, I wish, because you could have said 30 years ago, maybe at some point somebody will make the part I need as a part.
Yeah.
Not that I have to take it from something, but parts might be available. You could have speculated that. That's possible.
Right.
Is there a thing where the way you like to hobby, that you're still having trouble, you're having to do it in a way that isn't available, that would be easier?
That is tough, because, I mean, with advancements, like Marvel Legends going pinless has kind of put a hamper on switching parts and customizing
It's true.
and such. So, but it's aesthetically better when it comes to that figure itself. But at the same time, all these companies, because I've been saying for a couple of years, this bubble has to burst.
Yeah.
Because there is so much stuff. There's so much stuff. And I hate to say it, there's not a lot of kids running around
Right.
Nope.
getting toys and such. And we're gonna age out at some point, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
We gotta get old. We're getting older.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much, but I've been saying the same thing about Funko Pops for years too. It's like
Yeah.
that bubble has to burst. So, but they're not bursting.
I mean,
There's
that's-
still money to be made.
There's a lot of people that say Funko is beat. Funko's been around for like 15 years.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
been around a long time already. And it's because they have license. Like a Spider-Man item
Yes.
will always be popular to someone.
And you know what? It's not like I'm disparaging Pops
No, no.
or anything, because I love whenever Hastings was a thing or
Yeah.
a large display, all these characters in this same style. There's something
It's cool.
appealing about that. Yeah, it may not be for me, but it's for somebody. But I've also been to a lot of cons where they wheel a bunch of those in and then they wheel a bunch of those out, and I'm thinking, did they
Yeah.
go in? And I'm afraid that's going to happen to action figures too. But it doesn't seem to be. It
Not
seems
yet.
to be as hot as ever. I know I'm spending more money than I did 20
Try not
years
to
ago.
and failing.
Yeah. I remember when my cat was $10. I'm not buying anything over $10. If it's over $10, I don't need it. That's way too expensive.
Have you spent more than $10 here this week? You spent $10.
I spent more than $10 yesterday before the show.
Before anything was for sale.
Yeah, before anything was actually for sale. I was like,
Now, is that before or after inflation adjustment?
yeah, that's yeah. Just
I think your point of, as long as there's moms getting rid of stuff that you ordered as a little kid, as soon as you move out, there's gonna be another batch of 20-somethings, 30-somethings that are gonna come.
and that's what I'm hoping for. I do see younger younger people, but the kids.
Yeah.
Because man, I think when I was 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I would have loved this kind of thing. I didn't know conventions were a thing. I didn't know anything existed out of my town. Outside the, if it wasn't on TV, and TV was even far away lands. But yeah, I see kids here and there. But
Well, I know in a different but very comparable space, in the video game collector world, which is a pretty mature space, it's 20 years. The people that speculate, they go, when a system hits 20 years old, that's when you invest in it, because then that person that played it is now entering their 30s, has more disposable income. So like
Yeah,
right now,
that's what-
the Nintendo 64, you can't touch. The games on that are 10x what they were just 5 years ago. But the regular Nintendo has dropped because those people are now in their 50s, have as much disposable income. And I think that's true, and the same thing like our daughter doesn't play, the games she plays are not sold. They're not physical, you can't rebuy them. They're things that are digital, and she has a great time and plays them. There won't be that. You won't be able to buy that in 20 years. And she's like, I want to go back and get Genshin Impact. There is no Genshin. It doesn't exist. It was only ever software. And that's what I don't know. So a lot of kids that would have been playing with toys and art are playing Minecraft or Roblox or things that are the same kind of thing. They're building things. They're making forts. They're chasing each other around, but they're doing it digitally. I don't know what happens.
Yeah.
I think that's
maybe McFarlane's onto something with his digital
Am I?
action figures.
But so I think my answer to the previous question of what do we think is coming, I think Hasbro showed us. It just wasn't ready yet. There is going to be technology where you're going to be able to scan your head or your dog or whatever effectively, efficiently, turn it into a file that you're going to be able to hire somebody to print for you for $10.
Yeah.
I think that's going to happen, where the phone is going to be able to do it. I don't think it was very good when they got it out, But the fact that they got it out where you scan yourself, and for whatever it was, $100, you get a figure of you.
Yeah.
I think it was just ahead of its time. Yeah, it was crazy.
Which seemed insane for a big company like that.
Yes.
To produce unique items for people.
But I think the cameras and everything that are in the phone, because all of the money in the tech sector is focused on that world of things, AI and virtual reality and all of that, something's going to happen where I think we're going to be able to scan things, and you're not going to need a sculptor anymore for certain things. If the thing exists in the real world, I want to be able to print this, you're going to be able to whoop and have a font. I think that's
Star Trek.
soon. Yeah, I believe so. I believe so. Because I think there's other applications, right? There is, because the action figures is not going to drive that technology, but you know what will? I need this part for this car that is broken down, and I need to be able to 3D print it. This is the new iPhone, and we were watching the new iPhone video, and I heard them say, we are 3D printing the titanium chassis of the phone. And I went, did I hear that right? And they are 3D printing in titanium, but they're using the technology of 3D printing to create the phone. It's not even going to factory assembly anymore. So if they're leading the way on that, eventually this technology, like the VCR, like the 3D printer, will become cheap enough, or we'll just be able to do it at home. And then who knows what that is.
Right. Because that becomes just whatever we imagine.
Yeah.
Without having to go through licensing and companies.
It'll be that I think will be an interesting element of this hobby. And it may not really disrupt anything. I mean, like, I want my dog to be sculpted. Dirk's gonna sculpt him for me. That's great. If the technology on my phone existed where I could have taken a picture, I would already have 6,000 of that item printed. It would already have happened. I'd have every version of yawn and tongue and stretch and everything.
Yeah.
But so I just think that's an interesting thing. Well, we got 15 minutes left, so let's take some questions about whatever you like.
Not you.
Not you.
How do you get rid of stalkers? I'm just curious.
You stay out of
It
their
would be
area.
helpful because the Instagram feature that says block this account and all other accounts they may create does not work. Meta, it does not work. So it can't help you with
He
that.
still finds me though.
Hi, my name is Smitty, and I collect action figures. I want to know, am I doing the dance right?
No, you gotta go backwards with it.
Oh, back.
Yeah.
That's right. And an excuse to do it.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if you guys could touch on it a little bit, but just the impact that Kickstarter has had on this whole, people bringing their ideas to fruition, and the fact that you don't have to have this huge investment up front that you can get people to crowdfund.
I think it's significant. It's a different space, similar. I went at DragonCon this year. I went to a panel that was, I don't remember what the title it was, but it was several comic book creators talking about Kickstarter and why they were kickstarting their comic book. And they were people that worked for Marvel and DC. One of them was actively drawing Conan. One of them was actively drawing Batman. Like big time people you've heard of. Like Scott Snyder was there. Big people. And that was the purpose of the panel, is why are you going to Kickstarter? And what I didn't know until that panel, the person that moderated it was the director of comic crowdfunding on Kickstarter. It was an employee of Kickstarter. That is the person you talk to get it on the front page and the algorithms and all this stuff. And they talked a lot about, I think it's similar here, is Kickstarter's goal, they take 30% or whatever they take of the money, is to bring to life ideas that wouldn't otherwise be brought to life, but also give a person ownership, legally defined ownership, in a thing, especially now in AI. And that's why that was, all of them, that was their answer, was to protect my art, I must create it myself and own it legally, because one of them had something that AI had scraped and people were pushing out. And they sued the person that it did. And they went to court and the judge said, you can't bring this lawsuit. Disney must bring this lawsuit because you do not own that character. Marvel owns that character. And you got paid to do your job, but you didn't create it. And so to defend their careers, they would make independent comics on Kickstarter that they already had made, they already had in hand. But to produce it on Kickstarter, have people buy it, then it becomes a legally defensible thing. I thought that was interesting. But more importantly, each of these big groups that have had successful Kickstarters have employees of Kickstarter. that will want to see the project succeed. And obviously they're incentivized to do it, but I think that's a big part of it is this person was one of us that was talking. It was not somebody that I would work with normally that I'm like, you're just trying to get your bonus. This was a person that cared about comic books, knew the people. And so I think there's an interesting element of Kickstarter right now that they are a friend to us as a nerd hobby. And I don't know, have you done any Kickstarter stuff or been affiliated with like directly where you have any more knowledge of the inner working? Like I know some you do, but I don't know how involved you are.
Right. When it came to the ninjas, I was more. I wanted to stay on that website side, the news side and all that kind of stuff. So I didn't really involve myself in the back end of the Kickstarter stuff. But they definitely get their cut. And Kickstarter's become such a. You hear Kickstarter, it's almost trusted at this point.
Yeah.
You can trust Kickstarter. But then it's not always fulfilled. But that's not Kickstarter's fault. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's becoming less and less, or at least I hear about it less and less. So Kickstarter's not getting fulfilled.
I think that trust issue is like to that question is important because it even though it's wrong, people have trusted it as this is the platform where I'm guaranteed to get this item. That isn't what Kickstarter is.
No.
You are backing a person to make an idea that may never get made. People have forgotten about that.
Yeah.
10 years, I had a look at my Kickstarter history and I was backing random stuff. Here's a keychain that will be a USB drive and all this stuff. I never got it. It never happened. I can't get my $25 back. It's gone because you're funding the idea. You're investing in the product, and your return on investment is hopefully you get the product at probably a discounted rate from what the retail price would be. That's not what Kickstarter is anymore to people. This is going to get made. It might take 2 years or 3 years longer than it was supposed to, but it's going to get made. So I think there's an element of credibility that it brings. That's why, I mean, even our friends at the Four Horsemen, they've said they're releasing a tabletop game next year, and they're going back to Kickstarter. They don't have to. They have the capital, they have the relationship, but not in the tabletop gaming world. And so they go there, lots of tabletop games get backed on Kickstarter, and it gets blasted to an audience that doesn't normally see their stuff, and that's worth the cut that Kickstarter takes. So I think there is, I think it's the credibility, and you see there are projects that do not succeed on Kickstarter, that from people that are well known and have a presence in the community that didn't get across the finish line. So it's still going to be, the community is going to decide if you're successful. I don't think no matter how much backing Kickstarter may want to put. So I think it's a big advocate. And then there's others. I mean, there's Indiegogo, and I'm sure just like any other platform, so people say, I'm going to sell on eBay. eBay fees are so high. eBay also puts your product in front of 3 billion people. That's worth some money. If you sell it yourself, you put it in front of 9. And none of them want it. So I'm sure there are people that are undercutting Kickstarter fees, but it's going to remain because it's credibility and you feel like you're going to get your stuff.
I never looked at it like that, as that nice, especially on a game. Tabletop, trying to get into that as a new thing.
Because I'm sure Kickstarter blasted to everybody that's ever backed that type of product, that kind of thing. I think it's interesting.
Because before all of the Kickstarters,
they keep, the Spawn.
Hey, we made $6 billion in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Because I guess it's a bigger audience.
Yeah. Wait, Andrew?
Yeah, I think you touched on it a little bit about how nothing's guaranteed when you fund something on Kickstarter, but I was also wondering, this is kind of deviating, as somebody who makes something at home, brings them to cons, sells them to friends, things like that. I don't have a plug into manufacturing side of things, so if you're going to bring something to Kickstarter, you've got to have all that stuff planned. Does Kickstarter have anybody that's on their side that can help you find the manufacturing stuff, or is that?
I think you've got to already know it.
Yeah, I think there are already connections through before that. I think Kickstarter helps you promote and collect the money, but past that, it's just kind of.
No, I don't think they're involved.
Yeah.
I mean,
So you have to go to somebody like Chris.
I mean, but that's, we talked about it earlier. There's enough. I mean, there's literally a person walking around this show that has those connections, and so I mean, a lot of this hobby, period. If you want it to be better for you, whatever is defined as better, just get to know more people. Just hang out, be friends with people. It's easy for any of us to kind of isolate, stand in the corner. Like, it can get uncomfortable. There's a lot of people. It's overwhelming. But this is very much a hobby that is, the more people you know, the better it becomes. Whether it's I just want to share, I want to go to things, or I meet a person and oh my goodness, like when I met Dirk and for the first however long I knew him, I didn't know he sculpted. He was just my friend. And then I learned he sculpted. And then you look at what he sculpted and go, oh, you're very good at this. Oh, he's like, oh, if you need something sculpted, whatever. I just met him. He was just a nice person to hang out with. And there's owners of companies in this room walking around shopping. So you just broaden and broaden and broaden. And then eventually you find the right opportunity. You know, you don't want it to be pitching somebody all the time, but you find the right opportunity to bring people in. And that's, you know, Chris at Four Horsemen, how many products does he project manage at the factories? I mean, it's like 20 different toy lines that he does. And then with the right idea, you can bring it to the horse. Like you know, you can go completely through them. So a lot of these companies also, they don't necessarily advertise it as much, but they run production for you. You can bring them their idea and do, you know, I think Big Bad Workshop works like that to an extent, or can work like that. You know, I think that's the vision at least. It's not just going to be Operation Monster Force, Fresh Monkey Punch and stuff. I think there's probably an avenue. Say, I want to make this, I want to produce it. Can I partner with you? You take a cup, whatever. I think you got to get to know people.
Or even Big Bad themselves with the Jada Toys Frosty the Snowman.
Yeah.
They weren't going to be able to produce it themselves.
Yeah.
So
Get to know Ace at Ramen Toy.
yeah.
That's a good person, and he has the ability, it seems like, to run much lower MOQs on things. You know, that's one of the problems you run into in production in general. Is like, well, in order for a factory to make it, you got to make 5,000.
Yeah.
You're like,
And it's cheaper if you order 10,000.
Yeah.
And then you're thinking it still costs
Then
more
you
money,
garage
but it's
full.
cheaper. So
yeah.
yeah.
Unless you're stupid Wade and sell them all in 1 second at Legion's Con.
And then sit around for the rest of the show.
Yeah, hanging out, taunting. Yusuf, did you have a question?
Yes. Knowing how long that you've been in this collective hobby, and I'll just use Marvel Legends, pins to pinless, right? And I know we spoke on.
Here we go.
So I know we spoke on like 3D printing. What do you think is the next thing? Like, what's the next evolution in it? Like,
Seamless.
Is there something else?
Seamless, yeah. A skin over the maybe
It's like
real hair.
Mezco's done a little bit. Hano, yep.
Well, something in the price point that we can afford.
No, I think they'll become affordable.
Oh man, what is the company that does the metal skeleton within a kind of a
Oh
corpsey
yeah,
feel?
yes.
I-
The they make the bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vampirella.
Yeah, where's that from?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's still early, because there's the fear of it breaking down over time and everything else.
Yeah, because the Mezco Keaton Batman is that, right? Isn't it?
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is
I haven't moved mine.
Yeah, it's like no one moves it because they're worried it's going to rip.
Yeah.
But
But I
it
waited
is.
too long.
But I think some version of an overlay where you don't see the joints.
Yeah, yeah, because that's the only place. Because at first I didn't understand the pinless thing because I'm thinking, well, it's still a toy. You can still see the cuts and the slices and everything, but it's ended up being better toys because of it. Which I admit I was wrong.
Absolutely, it's
A
toys.
toy?
Yeah. No, it's toys. No,
Toy,
it's toys.
action
no.
figure,
We're
dolls.
playing with toys. Yeah.
Depends on if they're in the bathtub.
In the bathtub, I am playing with toys. That's absolutely the thing. You are too, don't you lie. I saw you by the boat in there.
When the toy becomes an action figure, the production of it, as far as is concerned, it stays performing
When it reaches the Mondo price
as
point.
opposed to an action figure.
I think action figure is just a marketing term to sell to a certain.
Yeah, technically, we have very few action figures anymore because none of them have an action.
Yeah.
Most of the
Exactly.
toys are geared towards 6, 3, 5,
As in toys.
10,
Yeah. And retail.
retail.
You know, not real toys.
Whatever, because then you get this.
Yeah, action figure. Yeah.
Hobby. When, where,
I don't have any line there. You pointing it out was the first time I've ever thought about it like that. Was toys or action figures?
I think, if you're at the toy
or
aisle,
collectibles.
it's in the
Dolls.
you see
Dolls.
it in the
I'm good with
articulation
dolls.
is where it's visible. Right, the things that we all say are very clearly marketed to kids are just the big, their arms just do this.
Yeah.
It's once there's multiple, it changes. It builds up.
Mass clothes or
You go to
Barbies?
Target now. You go to Target. They're right there, Disney Princess section. Yes.
That's true.
Yeah.
So.
Ain't no kids buying them, but it's true.
Because and that's the marketing.
Yeah.
Why?
Because wasn't action figures coined just to sell dolls to
Yeah, to
avoid
sell
some-
G.I. Joes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And to avoid some kind of tax or
Yeah.
something.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah. And you know, back
Call whatever you
been
want.
doing this when I was still
Happiness.
when I was still working at the metal shop. The guys would try to rip me about, oh, you're buying your dolls.
Yes. I'm still in the closet.
Yeah, I mean, exactly.
I jumped out the closet.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good with that. So.
I will say, so like I work in a very corporate setting, and usually I work at home, but I have to travel a lot. Every once in a while, I'll be at a site, and I'll be walking through a random cube farm, and I'll see several Marvel Legends or whatever on like somebody's desk. And like my mind's like, oh, those are my people. I should try. I can't. I just gotta walk and just gotta keep going to my meeting. And we're like, oh, Spirit Spider, huh? Yeah, you had that's exclusive. You had to go after that one.
You had to hunt that down.
It's like I need to meet this person. Nope, no. Might be beneficial in the HR meeting that's coming up. Let me get out of here. Well, I have to read something for whoever wasn't
Your
here.
press release.
So in this room soon, you go to the front desk. You get a yellow lanyard to get. All right, grind hacks. I think there's going to be a custom figure workshop of some sort in here soon. You have to purchase this from the front desk. It's $60. You get this. You find Joe. And Joe will give you a badge, and that brings you in here, and you're gonna get a base figure and a custom item. And I think we're gonna do that. 7 inch? Okay. So, make sure if that's the thing you're interested in, you do that. Curtis has a yellow badge. Is that intentional? Are you doing this item here? Are you participating as a customer or as a maker?
Yeah, you're running it. Yeah.
Is there actual like teaching stuff?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, well I can attest as an owner of some of Curtis's products, including Massive Elephant. Curtis is a good person to work with. Yes.
Don't forget Curtis paintbrushes.
Oh yeah, I did say that earlier. Right out here, you can buy paintbrushes from Curtis. I did say you can buy paintbrushes, but they're from Curtis.
Yeah.
This is the first time they've been available. They are specifically made
Ergonomic for the hand.
for big hands.
I love
They're
that.
specifically made to work on action figures from a person that has been, I don't know how many action figures you've probably customized in the last few years, many, and couldn't find in the market something that worked for his needs, and he made it. And it's only $20, and it's the first time they're available out there, and I don't know how many he made, but I imagine once he gets the Legion's Con, a lot of them will sell, and so buy them while you can. And
Curtis, you taking your card and just cash on
Cash or PayPal.
you can hit him on his hip too.
You can look at one.
So, thank you everybody. Robo, thank you always for the chop it up. Enjoy the show. Support people.
To admit, they'll tell me you have a panel. I was like, okay, I'm coming. Robo's like, oh, Robo, I'll be there.
Yeah, hurt my feelings.
I may be there. Oh, wait a second.
I'm sorry to say how inspiring it is to see so many little guys come together into a community like this and actually put forth a product. Like when I was in high school, I was working at a radio station, so I got to see that independent music artist boom happen. Everybody said that was going to change the industry. That only lasted for about 2 years at most. But seeing action figures like this keep going on and on like that, it's incredible to see, especially in bad economic times. When everybody's really feeling the burn, they're still putting out a product like that. It's incredible to see this development happen like that.
Yeah.
Going back to your video game example, about 15 years ago, there was a big indie game boom. People thought that was going to change the industry. Same thing with smartphone games. Those only petered out for about 2 years, maybe 3 if you were looking at that. But with action figures, it just keeps on going. It's not slowing down, at least from what I'm seeing so far.
That's a good. That's a
Yeah,
good comment.
and like I said earlier, I mean, history says that this should pop at some point, but it hasn't. It keeps going.
And I mean, I know in my head, I do. If I go, I'm going to cut back. I know I don't cut back from the independent stuff. It's a knowing choice. I'm like, no, I don't want to cut. That stuff's awesome.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, maybe I don't need my 30th fill in the blank thing, but I do that.
I think what it is the human-to-human connection. It's like
Yeah.
what you guys were saying before. You can actually meet these people. It's not just some corporate student signing his life away over in a factory or anything like that.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. It makes me feel good, and it makes so. And I know we got to get out of here. A lot of what we do is to feel a feeling we felt at a previous time in our life when things seemed easier, better, fill in the blank. You can recreate and build new nostalgia by buying a thing from my friend Curtis and have paintbrushes, and now every time I use that, I think about our relationship and our good memories beyond the form factor of what I'm doing. And so, like, Jordan painted this pig for me that's out there. So that's a cool figure that'll sit on my shelf. But every time I do that, I think about nostalgia for a time that was just a year ago or a month ago. And that's what I think is important in this, is we can be nostalgic for this event in a month because we build that relationship. That's a very, very good point.
Yeah, nostalgia is not just tied to the 1980s. It can pop off